I'm Liz Scissors. Today's video, we are going to talk about puppy coat and everything you need to know about it. My goal is to really give you some insight on how to manage puppy coat and how to prevent the black hole of having to shave your puppy because you didn't know how to maintain them before the coat change took over. So as groomers, we love to see puppies in the salon about 4 months old. We really like to start them very young when they easily move on. Their attention span is very short and they forgive very easily. It's easy to distract them, and positive reward is usually very effective because they haven't developed any tendencies and habits yet as to how they respond. They just don't have enough experience yet. So we really like to start them when they're young. When they are young, that hair is in its infancy state. It doesn't have undercoat yet. It doesn't have density of any kind, so it's very soft and it falls very easily. It doesn't hold its shape at all because there's nothing there yet to really kind of support the longer hair. So as we start to see the changes, there's a lot we have to do with that. They typically start their coat change at about 5 months old. And what you're going to see at 5 months old is the texture will start to subtly change. Most dogs, it's not dramatic. You're not going to see anything overnight that is from one to the other. It's going to be subtle in the beginning. And at that point, you really are going to notice when you start brushing that it gets a little bit more challenging. It's a little bit more difficult, and you start to feel some thicker spots on the dogs that have longer coat. So you really want to pay attention to brushing and combing and getting them familiar with that process. And it also prevents the tangles from getting too tight. It's easy at that point. 5 months old, it's no big whoop. Once they start getting a little bit older, it starts getting a little bit more extreme and the tangling becomes much more of an issue. So you're going to see that progressively from 5 months, usually to the 8-9 month mark, is when you start seeing it really take hold and it starts to become really challenging to take care of. And in the salon, when a client comes in, we will explain to them how important it is to get their puppies on a really tight schedule in the beginning so that we can help them manage that coat change and not have to cut underneath all of those tangles, which are very painful because they're very close to the skin. They're not shedding from the outside of the coat, they're shedding from the root. So near the skin where it's closest is where you're going to have the problems, where there are friction areas such as in the armpits and where the ears move a lot, where they sit a lot, anywhere where there's going to be friction points, you're going to see a lot of problems. So you want to pay close attention to those areas during those transition months, 8 to 9 months old. If the client really wants you to start cutting the hair, no problem. You can start at that point if you've had them on a schedule and they're getting good for the process and the stress is going down and they're understanding the table training. Start cutting some of that length off and it will make the change much easier to go through. After that 8 and 9 month period, the coat continues to change texture. They are continuing to produce with their hormones different levels of density of undercoat depending on the breed. So you really have to pay attention. Some breeds will continue to change coat up until they're 3 years old. So depending on the breed, do your homework. You'll find out for your breed how you need to manage through that coat change. But the worst part of coat change is anywhere between 8 months and 1.5 years for most breeds in general. So you really want to keep that in mind that this is all baby hair. It is not going to look good in a haircut because there's nothing there to hold the shape. There's no density yet. There's no thickness yet. So it really doesn't look well. It may look good when you do it initially, but within a day or two, it's going to look like a weed whacker went to it because that coat will not hold its shape because it's still baby hair. It's very floppy and wimpy and fine. So don't give too many haircuts if you can avoid it. Otherwise, you're going to have to go fairly short to make it look even remotely nice. And the client is typically not going to be real satisfied with the look that they get when you try to do it when they're too young. Once they get through that coat change, now you have a better handle on what you can and cannot get away with that dog's texture and with their level of growth rate. Dogs typically grow 1/4 to 1/2 inch a month, which is very fast. So you really want to make sure that you are paying attention to that specific dog, its growth rate, how dense it is, to stay on top and manage those changes. Just keep in mind that the coat change starts at 5 months and can't, sometimes in some cases doesn't end until they're about 3 years old. But that 1 year to a year and a half mark is usually, for most breeds, that's when they end. So I really encourage you to make sure that you are paying attention to each dog and its particular coat, and it'll really help you manage not having to shave that dog, or at least help educate your customers or educate yourself on what to expect during that time. I hope you found this video helpful. For more information about me and what I'm offering, please check out lizsizzers.com, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.